You, yeah, you know who it is. That's right, Oh Dark 30. It's time for the Impact Show, baby. Wakey, wakey, get your eyes up, rise up. That's right, you. I'm speaking to you today because as this podcast drops, I cannot believe that it is December the 9th. What? Yup, I want to just say real quick to each and every one of you, let's not slack on the fitness this week. No slacking allowed. I need the workouts in 6 days this week. No excuses. Todd, I'm busy. Oh, I got travel. Find a way. Don't skip a day. Don't skip a day. Get it in. And I want to wish all of you a very Merry Christmas holiday, a Happy Hanukkah. And before we know it, it's going to be 2025. So, man, Christmas is coming quick. Hanukkah, 2025, man, this holiday is flying by. So if you missed last week's episode on Wednesday, the power of writing and goal setting, do yourself a favor, go back to episode 401 if you missed that one. And after you listen to it, I just want to take a moment before turning the page and getting so jacked up for 2025, because I got to tell you, I'm now about 10 plus hours deep into my annual strategic plan, and I couldn't be more excited here as this drops on December 9th, and I'm recording this the week before to say that, man, I am so ready for 2025 to be here. Yes, I'm looking forward to the holidays and everything else, but I am so excited. And today, what I want to talk about is a reflection time on 2024. As much as many of you want to move on and say, man, oh man, Todd, I'm ready for 2024 to be over, I want to make sure that we can use the fruits of 2024 to our favor, and that can really fire us up for 2025 and what is to be and what is to come. So that being said, I hope that you're excited for today and everything it's going to bring, because as you get out your pens and notebooks and maybe even got your annual strategic plan, if you've already ordered it, good. Start to write in that bad boy, because so many good things are going to be happening here in the next 30 minutes or so as we go into this. Don't forget, if you're in SoCal, December 21st, meet me up at Impact X Performance, Huntington Beach, California. We're going to have a little trainer meetup, a little Fit Pro meetup at IXP Huntington Beach. So if you're in San Diego, Orange County, Los Angeles, Central California, and you want like a 2 or 3 hour get together, come on down the 21st. Oh, Todd, I'm busy. Guess what? So am I. Everyone else is. It's free, completely free, no strings attached. Let's get together and make sure we're all fired up for the holidays. It is going to be an awesome time to do that. And don't forget, we are in the middle of the 12 days of Christmas. Got some amazing specials going on over the holiday here. So take a look at all the 12 days of Christmas and what we have going on. And if by chance you have not yet picked up your GSD system, you got your 3-pack, your annual strategic plan, your daily and weekly planner, and then you've got your impact journal so you can dominate the day between the days, the weeks, the months, and your year. You are going to be well positioned to dominate 2025. So that being said, I'm really going to challenge you today. I want to coach. I've been in major coach mode, as you've been tasting in the last several weeks with the podcast. That is my divine uniqueness. Is I love coaching. I love retreats. I love live events. But today we're doing it through the podcast on that. If you have not listened to last week's, when we're all done with this, go back to 401 and listen to 401 because I challenge you today. I'm going to challenge you on Wednesday. I'm going to challenge you next week as well as we look into 2025. And don't forget, write your answers down. Thinking it is not enough. I want you to write it down. Hence, that's why I did 401. When you do, your mindset's going to be heightened. You will be more inspired, and you will go deeper inside than ever before. Not just like what you're thinking, but on the inside, getting your heart and your soul fired up. And this is a good thing. So without further ado, we're going to take a look back at 2024, and we're going to realize, man, all the things that happened and didn't happen and everything else. So if you're listening, awesome. If you're listening and taking notes on your phone, which I often do when I listen to podcasts, take some notes. and you could even put, the number, whatever you'd like to. But this is all look back. And I'm going to share some top lessons from 2024. We're going to look at some of the things that that are going on in the last year, that maybe some lessons that you've learned, or some failures or some wins that are going to help you be the best version of yourself. So with that being said, right now it's a time to reflect back on your past year. And where does it all start? It all starts with gratitude. Wait, I thought I started episode 401 with gratitude. Yes, I did. Because when you think about your reflection on the last year, who and what are you most grateful for? Who and what are you most grateful for? And think about that right now. As I go into coach mode and think about who are you most grateful for and what are you most grateful for, think about all those people who are in your life. Think about all the experiences that you had in 2024, any trips that you had, any conferences that you had, any live events that you were part of. You think about the businesses that you're part of. Maybe you own or run a business and you're thinking, man, I had the opportunity to touch or impact 500 people this year, 5,000 people this year, 257,000 people this year. I think about our podcast. We went over the 1.2 million mark a few months ago. And I'm like, man, that's a lot of people listening to the show. Makes me tremendously grateful for people like you who listen in from all over the world. So thank you. My first question is exactly on that, is gratitude. Who and what are you most grateful for? The second question I have on 2024, and you can feel free at any time if you're listening at a desk and you want to use this as part of kind of like in your annual strategic plan. I'm asking you some of the questions that are in the annual strategic plan, but the most important thing is that you sit down and answer these. Think about and then write a few sentences or even a short paragraph that best describes your life at this point in time as you listen to this podcast. Not just for today, but when you think about 2024 and the year that was, how are you doing now? How's your energy? How's your mindset? How's your heart set? How's your soul set? Where are you at with your health, your career, your relationships? Are they more fruitful today than they were last year at this time? Your finances, are you where you want to be? Or there's some moves that need to be made, some changes. It's okay. It's okay. That's all part of life. But be sure to share what has most energized and inspired you this year. So when you think about where your life is at right now, where is it? Where is it? Right? And you think about that, like I think about life right now. I think about, hey, number one, it's exciting. I love where things are at right now, despite it very much being in startup mode in some ways. Like Impact X Performance is a startup. I just announced it in May. I feel like I announced it 2 years ago. It was just May of 24 that I announced it. So in many ways, it's a startup, right? But it's really exciting. It brings me back to when I started Fitness Quest 10 almost 25 years ago, the excitement of starting that and being in white belt mode again, right? I think about life is ... Number two is busy. Like, man, it's busy. It's busy. But I also put down, I did not waver in 2024 and back down from any family commitments. The last 4 months, between August and November, I didn't miss any football games at Davidson. And I didn't do that because I loved watching Davidson football. It was because I didn't want to miss my son, right? So whatever that is, like whatever your commitments are, I put that on the top of everything, right? I also put my life is interesting. Interesting. I got exciting, busy, and interesting. And I say that because, many of you know my mom, Mama Durkin, Muffy Durkin, and she hasn't been in the best of health the last couple months. Well, the last month specifically, when I was in Montana at our retreat, I got a message from my siblings that mom had a couple setbacks, and between a heart attack and a aneurysm and everything else, mom is still going. And I don't know how she's still going, because at 91 years old, she continues to go and go. She's like that Energizer bunny, just keeps going and going. It's just interesting when I think about life and I think about a parent from a parenting perspective. That 2024 was in so many ways a high of, being there with Luke at his football games, and Brady thriving at High Point University in High Point, North Carolina. And then McKenna, my daughter, she's 16. She committed to play lacrosse at High Point, and she'll be a freshman when Brady's a senior, but like so many highs. And then, on the other side of that, I'm sitting here, and I don't know if we're weeks or months away from mom, but it's an interesting time. Which, lastly, when I say life is, and you think about where your life is right now in 2024 and the year that has been and was, I put down healthy. And God, I'm so grateful that I have my health. I know someday my back's going to need surgery, someday, but it's now been 3 years since I've been in debilitating pain. I was in really bad shape in 2020 and 2021. And, it's a year and a half since I was diagnosed with that sleep apnea that I've talked about. And I just haven't felt this focused and this good in over a decade, where I'm sleeping and I'm feeling energized. I've got the ability to do what I'm doing right now. And that's where life is at. Right. And, I also ask in that question there, in your annual strategic plan, this is all stemming from your annual strategic plan that you have, is what's also draining you? What's draining you? And, when I think about what's draining these days, when you think about 2024, what has drained you on that? One thing that I know drains me is the divisiveness of, sometimes, like, politics are divisive, and I just don't enjoy divisiveness. I think it's because I'm the youngest of 8 kids, and I always want peace. I hate fighting. I hate seeing fighting. And I don't like energy vampires. I don't care who they are. I don't care where they're at. I don't like energy vampires, and they're everywhere. They're everywhere. So you got to be even more careful of how your energy gets dispersed. And one of the commitments, and thank you for joining me here on the Impact Show, because we attract people who love to give out positive energy. And are we always all positive? No, either am I. But man, what's draining you is, I know that I'm very selective with my time, probably like yourself. And I think it's important that we recognize that. On that, another question I have here down is, what were some of your top accomplishments, achievements, or experiences from the past year? Like, when you think about that, it's an important question I ask in number 3, and both personally and professionally, because when you look back, why is it that so many times we don't give ourselves credit for the things that we did well? I've been saying recently, like, give yourself more grace. Like, even myself, like, give yourself some grace. Like, we're always sometimes so insistent on speeding things up versus giving ourselves grace of the time that is often necessary to really cultivate what is going to be done on that. So what are some of your top accomplishments from the past year? And I just shared a few of mine with my kids. I also would say, like, one of my highlights from the last year was my Montana trip. And I shared it last week, but my Montana trip with my family in the summer, in July and August, was just incredible. That's why we do what we do, is to have time with family and loved ones and colleagues and people that really bring out your best self. And then, for your professional world, what were some of your top accomplishments professionally? What any achievements or experiences from the last year? Interesting enough, a lot of mine professionally dealt with live events. Like, I love live events. I love when our community gets together, and between the Impact Summit in Los Angeles, which was just an awesome time in LA, and then we went to Montana in November and had what was truly an iconic retreat, a mountain retreat. And I've said this, and I'm going to say it again, but come next month in January, I hope to have the fall 2025 mountain retreat logistics already done, because we are going back. And I'm going to encourage you as a podcast listener to sign up early, because we're going to get capped, and it is an epic time. But, starting Impact X Performance, as a top thing, is one of the most important things I've done in my career, to say that we're going to be a lighthouse, and we're going to have hundreds of lighthouses around the country in the next 5 to 7 years. 7 right now, 25 and 25, and then we're going to grow from there. I'm really excited about that. Impact X coaching. We're going to continue to grow that in 25, but like, we started Impact X coaching team 2 in 24. The Impact Speakers course was launched in 2024. Our Impact Life Coaching Certification program graduated 44 people in 2024. We have another team going right now at 26 people in now 2024. So many things happen, but if I didn't stop and pause long enough, I wouldn't reflect upon it. And I encourage you to do the same thing right now. As you think about, you can go back through last year's GSD planner, and you go through and you thumb through the monthly calendar and see all that you did. You typically do a lot more than you give yourself credit for. So go back and look. And then number 4, what were a couple of your biggest losses or mistakes or failures from 2024? And it could be personal, it could be professional, but what did you learn from these things too? Like, don't just list them out, what wasn't good, but what did you learn from them? Like, what is it? Like the Impact Summit in July and the Mastermind Retreat earlier in Florida in April of 24. One of the lessons that was reinforced wasn't a loss. It's a lesson that was reinforced is just the power of a live event. There is nothing like a live event. I love live events. I love seeing the people in the room connect and network and have aha moments where you see that light bulb moment go off, and that I love working out or going in a cold plunge in 37 degrees of a Whitefish Lake on that. So, what are some of the things, your losses, mistakes, failures, or even lessons again from 2020, 24 on that? Another thing is, I didn't realize there's so many tools out there to help one scale a business if one wanted to do that. I went to a conference in Philadelphia earlier this year called Springboard. And again, the franchise world is new to me, because I'd always run just a one-stop shop at Fitness Quest 10. And now being exposed to a different world, I didn't realize there were so many resources to help one scale a business if one wants to scale a business. Typically, when you have a franchise and you're the franchisor and you want to get other fitness business owners who are committed to creating more impact and light around the universe, you want to help them be extremely successful. We call it unit level economics, so that each unit can be at an economical level that is going to be one that's going to supersede what I have, the BAB and the DAO, the basic acceptable bottom line. The DAO is the desirable attainable objective. I didn't realize there are so many tools that we can use to scale it, so that, man, I don't want to say I had limited mindset in having just one operation, but by franchising, I realize now there are so many tools out there I wasn't aware of, because it was like the reticular activating system wasn't activated because I wasn't looking for it on that. So the other one is just how awesome our community is. It's such a great lesson of seeing how our community here, the Todd Durkin Impact community, shows up. You podcast listeners show up. You're always listening. You're passing on the podcast. I thank you for that. I see all the stories that you share. Thank you. Whether it be our mastermind community, our life coaching community, our Impact X coaching community, and there's an Impact X and mastermind. I still get asked this question. Our mastermind community is for fitness pros and trainers, and our Impact X coaching are people from everyday walks of life. They're entrepreneurs and people who are looking to go deeper. They may have achieved some success and they may even deem themselves successful on the outside, but deep down, they're looking for something even more significant on the inside. These are people from all walks of life. And that's the Impact X coaching that my team and I do on that. And of course, IXP. Impact X Performance is another one of our communities that makes up our community on that, and all of us here in the podcast community. So I recognize the amazing community that we've built, and the podcast, thank you, is like the glue that holds many of us together. And again, I just shared this recently, but my team came back, and I believe it's 27 countries in the last couple months that have tuned in to our podcast episode. And I'm still astounded when I hear that, over 1.2 million people have now tuned into the Impact Show. Again, I just got to share my gratitude on that. And some of the top lessons and that is just, you just got to keep showing up and showing up and showing up as your best self. And the last one I share here is, God has not and will not let you down. He will not let you down. I don't know how many times sometimes you feel sorry for yourself. Sometimes you think it's not as fast as you want, but it's never about how fast you want. It's not about your timing. It's about his timing. It's about his timing of how he wants to get it done and what is his calling for you. We must remain open-armed to what we're supposed to receive. We do our annual strategic plans. We do all this work on ourselves. But ultimately, what I always ask you to do is who you're going to be, not just what are you going to do, who are you going to be, who's the man or woman. You'll hear that next week when I go into 2025 stuff is I want to know who are you going to step into that best version of yourself in 2025. So that's coming. And right now, all I want us to do is make sure that we're focusing on what we have done, accomplished, biggest wins and losses from 2024, including one of the things I put down here is it's okay to start a new concept that does not yet exist. Like when I launched Impact X Performance with my business partner, Travis Barnes, in May of 2024, guys, there wasn't a concept that combined faith, fitness, recovery, and life coaching. Didn't exist. It now exists. And there are now 7, soon to be 8 locations here in 2024 that have this going on. So if you have been anointed in some way, there's a seed inside of you that says, I have an idea. You can bring it to life if you're supposed to. And over months or even years, if it continues to fester inside of you and you water it a little bit and you talk about it and you speak it into life, well, then maybe that's something that you're supposed to do. So I just put that down as one of my answers. And then also, number 5, what were some of your best practices in 2024? If you answer that question, like what were some of your best practices in 24, what are they? What were some of your best practices in 24? I don't share any of my answers to impress you in any way. I don't. I mean, to me, I have a long way to go. Hopefully these answers can allow you to think and dream about what you can do or impress upon you some different ways to accomplish what you're set out to do. Best practices, I put number 1, my commitment to my health and fitness routine. I think I've worked out more in 2024 than I have combined between 2020 and 2023. And that's not to brag. That's not good. But you got to remember in 2021 and 2, I was in a really bad position with my back that prevented me from doing what I wanted to do and needed to do. And now in 2024, man, I am feeling so good physically And it's important because when you feel good physically and you can work out and you can move, guess what that does to you mentally? Yeah, it really makes a huge difference mentally. So best practices were the physical routine, writing. Um, I'm not sure you're signed up for my newsletter list, but every Monday here for the podcast, I write an email on the podcast and I give my own personal anecdotes to it. So if you don't receive those, then just go to todddurkin.com and sign up for the newsletter list. And every Monday, you're going to get this email list that you're going to get the email. And on Thursdays, you're going to get a dose of Durkin. And the dose of Durkin that you're going to receive, along with maybe even some soul fuel, you're going to get some goodies that are come your way on that. And then lastly, like best practices in 24 for you. What were they? One of the things I think about, and podcasting falls in this bucket, but the bucket of creating content. Like I love to create content. My kids always joke about it, but I just like to create content because I know people consume content and it is going to stoke their soul. So between life coaching, the speakers course, the Impact Summit live event we had in LA, and the mountain retreat in Whitefish, Montana, and Soul Fuel and Dose of Durkin, like there's a lot of content that my team and I create. And that's a best practice because that is a discipline. It's a discipline to put down on paper and then do it. And then closely related to best practices, number 6 is what are some of your bad habits or things you could have done even better? So what are some of your bad habits? I know y'all want to hear my bad habits. I want to hear yours too, but we all have bad habits. We have things that can, man, I wish I was a little bit better here. I wish I wasn't bogged down with this, but a couple things, because 2024 was a busy year. It's a busy year with Impact X Performance, our live events. And of course, I wrote that book called True Strength, which I love the process of writing a book. One of the things by writing the book, I didn't read as much as I wanted to read. I'm best when I'm reading most days of the week for 10 to 20 pages, either in the morning or I love reading at night. Some nights I was so tired, I didn't get my 10 pages of reading in. So I want to get back to reading more consistently in that. And then also, even as this podcast drops, I intend to build in some strategic time off at the end of this year of 2024, and I want to double it in 2025. I realize in 24, I'm not sure about you, but it was a very, very busy year. And I did my best to stay in quadrant 2 activities. Quadrant 2 activities are ones that are what I call needle movers. And it was a very productive year, but I want to take some time off at the end of 2024 when I feel like I don't have to be on social media. Yes, I'll still create podcasts, but I'll batch them out and we'll have them done for y'all so we could get some time off to really refresh and revive and get ready to come sprinting into 2025 on that. So a couple things with that, along with, when you think about if you could change, when you think about that was number 6, 7. What were 2 or 3 of your books you read this year? So Pastor Jeremiah's got a new book. Certainly read that book. I always love reading his books. All the scripter publishing books that have come out, I've shared some of them already on the podcast. People like Yvette Salva and her booze blowing pancakes. I loved her authentic sharing in that book and the beautiful soul that she is. And she got our Impact Player of the Year inside of our coaching program. Guys like Tim Carter and Find a Way book that just came out, and Kelly Young and her book. Like all these scripter books that Kelly Watson and Greg Justice are putting out are just so good. And if you get a chance, check out Scripter Publishing on the website. It's really, they put out some great content and some great books. And the podcast, it also asked you about podcasts, which ones, of course, beside the Impact Show, which ones are most resonating with you this year in 2024. And then that's number 8. And number 9 is, how have you changed the most? It's a great question. 2024. how have you changed the most in 2024? Maybe it's a short word, maybe it's a phrase, but as you hear this and think about it, how have you changed the most, right? What is that? And when I hear the word changed, have you changed? Sometimes the word change brings up, for whatever reason, negative connotations for people. Like, how have you changed the most? But change isn't a negative word. Change many times can mean for the greater or for the better. Like, how have you changed the most? But when I think about that and break it on down, how have you changed the most in 2024? I think about, like, from the worst aspect is professionally, I was busier than I've been in a long time. But it also means I was more focused on what was important, doing the things that were important. My divine uniqueness is coaching. I coached more in 2024 than I have in a long time. And I spent more time on spreading the light, right? Be the light with IXP than in a long time. And personally, from a personal perspective, changed the most. I don't know if this is a good thing. And I've been praying about this. This real talk here is like, I've been less tolerable for inadequacy. I don't know if that makes sense, but I just feel like I've been less tolerable for inadequacy. I've been getting frustrated more easily at people who don't commit to making the changes they say they want to make, and I keep hearing it over and over again. Like, how, as a coach, how do you continue to change your tune, your message? But after a while, like, some people don't just want to change. They say they want to. And I guess I've become less tolerable for inadequacy, which means I love working with people who love the change or are willing to make the changes necessary to go to where they say they want to go. So that's been a good thing. And for the better, again, I shared busier but more focused than ever before as I'm working on some really big things. And then personally, as a father and a husband, I feel like I've prioritized my responsibilities. Like, I feel like from a father standpoint, from a family man perspective, that I've prioritized my responsibilities. It would have been really easy this fall to just like stay at home and watch the stream of the TV of the games for my son Luke. But I committed to myself before the season that I'm going to be at every game, come hell or high water. I'm going. I don't care what it's going to cost me, but I'm going. And it's going to take a big time commitment, financial commitment. But hey, listen, he's only going to play one time. So for that, I'm grateful and I'm thankful. Which number 10 says, if you could change one thing about your past year of 2024, what would it be? If you could change one thing about your year, I got 12 questions here, but if you could change a number 10, one thing about your past year of 2024, what would it be? And write it down. I mean, think about it. Is there something that you did or something that happened that if you could change it, you would? My initial reaction is I put down on paper, I put down nothing. I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change anything. Because I like where I'm at right now. I like going into 2025 and what I feel going into 2025 and how excited I am. But when you stop and reflect more than just the reaction of that, of like, I wouldn't change anything. My thought would be, initially, I'd say, man, I want to grow IXP even faster. I want to grow Impact X Performance even faster. I know that we and the systems that are developed can really help a lot more fitness professionals and gym owners be even more successful and get to high six figures and even low seven figures with their top end revenue and get a healthy profit line out of that. And I know that's a case. And even there's some people stuck right now in their 40s and 50s who are not in the fitness field. And I know that I can help them and Impact X Performance can help them. I just haven't reached them yet. And I'm hoping in 2025 to reach more of them. But when I say I'd like to grow IXP even faster, guys, we got 7 right now, soon to be 8. And it's pretty miraculous that we just announced this in May, like 6 months ago. And I don't even think going fast is the right way to go. I think, when I say turn up the spigot in 2025, 25 and 25. That's doable. I'd like to get 25 Impact X performances where I can lead 25 leaders that want to lead lighthouses in 25 in their communities, and I can help them grow with their fitness, with their recovery, with their life coaching, and of course for those who opt in into the faith aspect, that as well. But I just love where we're at right now with that, and I love how we're really focusing on unit level economics. But if you could change one thing about your past year, what would it be? There's not a right or wrong answer. I would love to have spoken even more. I'd love to have double the speaking events, which in 2025, when I worked on that, which you'll hear next week, you'll hear my intention and goals for 2025. Woo-hoo. Melanie, don't listen to next week's episode. Melanie, do not listen. But seriously, when you have big dreams and aspirations, you got to put it on paper. And in retrospect, I loved every opportunity I got outside of fitness and inside of fitness to speak. In 2025, I want to speak even more outside of fitness. I want to speak to more stages and companies and conferences and events and meeting planners that have events where we can go and inspire more people to live a great life on that. So number 11 is just final thoughts on 2024. And as I wrap up today's episode, when you think about 2024, and I say here in your annual strategic plan, if in a paragraph or two, do you have any other thoughts or feelings, emotions, or even reflections about this past year before turning the page to 2025? What I've been sharing with those whom I'm coaching, I'm saying this. As this drops, it's December 9th. Maybe you're listening to it on the 9th or the 10th or the 15th or the 17th, whenever you're listening to it, is have a date. And I don't know if it's the 17th, it's the 26th, it's the 29th, it's the 31st, it's January 1st, but have a date. And when that date is done, you're moving into 2025 and you're going to go hard charging into 2025. And we're going to have, 1, 2, and 3 done. Chapter 1, 2, and 3 done of these sections of the annual strategic plan. And what I have in here is these can be things you want to put behind you, things you want to particularly remember and have stand out, or just any personal highlights from your past year. Write them down and finish it with a gust of excitement and energy for the new year that is soon about to become. It's awaiting you. So whatever that is, in number 11, final thoughts on 2024. I just encourage you, if nothing else, while you're out walking this week and you're out working out, to be thinking about it. Order your annual strategic plan and get this thing down on paper. Write it on out and get it on paper so you can actually write it out after you think about it. Think it, write it, dream it, then go create it. And the last thing I'm going to share is this, is number 12. Let's end where we always like to start, and that's gratitude. We started with gratitude. We always like to start with gratitude, and we'll end with gratitude. And now that you've had the opportunity to reflect upon 2024, go ahead and write down your top 1, 2, 5 things or people or places or things that you're most grateful for. What is it and who is it you're most grateful for? Why? Because we can bookend our days, our months and weeks and years with gratitude, and we can stay in an attitude and gratitude. Well, it's hard for gratitude and fear to coexist. And I don't want anger. I don't want fear in my life. I know you don't want it in your life. How do we get rid of the anger or the fear or the frustration or the angst or the anxiety? All the things that I've been preaching and talking about is how do we do that? So end with some gratitude. And I wrote my things down on my paper. You write them down on yours. Just a few of the ones I put down, and they may be different for you. I have the health and mindset, opportunity. I'm grateful for opportunity. I'm grateful for the ability to write and think. I'm grateful for the people, the amazing people in my life and in our community here. I'm so grateful for this podcast community. I really am grateful for you, your ears listening in on a regular basis. I say thank you for listening in, whether it's here in December 24, it's 2025. You've listened to all 402 episodes or wherever we're at, or you listen to, this is the very first one. And again, I'm grateful for all I get to do and the people I get to work with at TDE. Kelly and Tom and Chase and Julie and Frank and Jill and Lisa, Rebecca, April, Ruth. The list goes on, and IXP and Travis and the 7 current franchise biz owners and Ashton, who's going to be opening up in early 25, and Chase again, and just everyone who's in my life, including you as a loyal podcast listener. I say thank you. I say thank you. I say thank you for all that you do on an everyday basis. And as I wrap up today's episode, and I say thank you, I do encourage you to take time over these next few days to really look back on 2024. Again, if you stop celebrating wins, the wins stop happening. And I want you to look back on the good, the bad, the ugly of 2024 and eventually put it to bed. Because next Monday, in just 1 week from today, as this drops, I'm going to be dropping your 2025 and creating your most extraordinary year. What's it going to take for you to step into your most extraordinary year? And again, I want to encourage you that if you have not yet invested in your tri-pack for your God-sized dream system, it's a 3-part. It's your impact journal, and your impact journal is dominating the day. You can start and finish every day with prompts that I have just for you. And this is the journal I use, and it's your daily journal to help you dominate the day. It's got prompts in the beginning and the end to help you dominate the day. And then you got right now your annual strategic plan that you're working on. And this is the thing you need the most right now as you listen in, so that you have all 64 questions. There's 10 sections. Out of the 10 sections, the first 3 are mandatory. And today was section 1, and next week will be section 2 on 2025 on that. But when we go into 2025 and what it's going to take to create your most extraordinary year ever, I'm going to challenge you next week to be great. I'm going to challenge you to be different in 2025. I don't want you to be the same person or achieve the same results that you did in 2025. And you're like, but Todd, I had a great year. Good. It's great that you had a great year. I love that. But let's create a different year. Let's create an even better year, a more significant year, a more impactful year. And if you had a bad year, then it's a great time to have that transformation season, that comeback season that we talk about in 2025. So get ready for that. And I'm going to challenge you also to change your daily habits. I'm going to challenge you next week to change the habits. You don't have to wait till next week to think about what habits you need to change, but I'm going to talk deeply about those habits, the ones not just of the winners, but of the losers. What are those habits that are going to detract you and distract you from, you get all these great ideas because you listen to the podcast. I want to make sure we follow it up, and the rest of the hours in today's day and this week is that you're choosing. It's a choice with the habits that you create, that your mind, your body, your soul are all thriving in one direction. It's for you to step into the best iteration of yourself. So buckle up. That's all coming over the next few weeks. And I want to say thank you. We have a lot going on, but nothing more important than this, your strategic planning for your life right now. And that's exactly what this is doing with your annual strategic plan. As I shared earlier in the show, don't forget you've got your 12 days of Christmas dropping. If you're looking for holiday gifts, you can certainly get the tri-pack of your God-sized dreams system. You got your 12 days of Christmas, everything from gray hoodies into the True Strength book, and it goes on and on and on. But I want to say thank you for everything that you do. If you could just snap a picture right now of the podcast, put it up on your stories, tag me on your social media. I'll repost that, I'll retag that, and that as it gets out into the universe and I share some of my big dreams and aspirations for 2025 and what I want to do with our podcast and how I want to proliferate the light and impact that goes out, you're a key part to that. So I say God bless you. I say thank you. Have an incredible week. And I hope you enjoy looking back on 2024 with lots of fond memories, and get ready because next week we got 2025 coming up. Buckle up your bootstraps, boys and girls. Here we go. Until next time, train hard, eat right, live inspired, and go create impact.